Morning, everybody. Hey there. It is Wednesday. Today, I'm going to be getting sweet package. Last week, I got two toys. One was this microphone. The other were the monitor mounts that are now here in the doghouse. And we got a camera back, by the way. So we'll bring that up for those watching. Some other news we broke yesterday. I need to keep that up. I'm sorry, I'm still kind of sort of setting up here. That is on this one now. So there we go. When it's just me, I'm going to use OBS to go back and forth between overlays. That way it's a smoother transition and not the real quick thing that Restream does. Might even be dumping Restream. I don't know. But today, cryptos are in the news, at least for us. There are more indictments. There are, what else? More indictments, more news with the polls. And you guys know I'm a huge polls follower. But when it helps my prediction, why not? But first, we get the morning motivation coming. Hang out till about 11:45, and we'll hit that for today's motivation. I also spoke with a consultant. I talked with three consultants this week. Uncle John, of course. Cousin Sean, from the same Tuesday, Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern afternoon meetups. It's not meetup, it's actually on Clubhouse, which, by the way, no longer has a working desktop version. I can't get it to load properly. I can't bring it up on the screen, nothing. So we will no longer be on Clubhouse, at least not for this. However, I'm still trying to get a hold of the people at Chatter. They said there was, an interest in me having their beta desktop version, which is out. I told them what's happening with the radio, and they were kind of hee-hawing around at first. And then when I told them what's happening with the radio, and that was before yesterday's news, they're like, okay, we got to get this to you. So we'll get to Pierre's pot in a second. So yeah, I mean, let's do that. Pierre's pot. Going to go twofold today to Sean and Susan, the two new consultants that are working with us. Sean is a tech guy, and he's the reason why I'm sounding a hell of a lot better than I ever have. He took me through, and I might have to stay with Voicemeeter. I'm not going to mind that. I think I'm going to like it. He says I will sound a little bit better with this Rodecaster Pro or Rodecaster Duo. Duo is a smaller one. The Pro 2 is the bigger, newer one. I don't want to drop another $1,000 right now when I could put that money towards time at WTAN. I could put that money towards time at the Long Island station that we're talking to now. There's another one. And yeah, I got to get another rim. The rear right rim on my van is slightly bent. So what I'm going to do is bring that home and give it to the neighbor who is going to repair the front one. And, I'll have a full-size spare. What else? There was something else I wanted to say, and I just totally brain farted. But Pierre's pot You know, Pierre Robert from 93.3 WMMR in Philadelphia was a lifelong inspiration to me on the radio. Been in Philly since 1981, is still there for more than 40 years. And listening to him from a kid to however long, he did a thing where he finds somebody that I'm totally stealing the bit from. I just renamed it in honor of him. He did a thing where he toasts the morning sauce, which of course is coffee, in the direction of a worthy citizen, as he calls it, a listener in the Philly market. Well, our citizens are, I got to get her last name here for a second. Give me a second. I've got a puppy in my lap, so she's curious about everything, does not want to be let down, as in like let down onto the floor. Ugh. Doing this all with one hand sucks. I didn't get a chance. I wanted to add her when I could have just added her for tomorrow. Murphy. There we go. Okay. Susan Murphy, Sean Savage. Today, the two consultants. Sean is a tech guy. Like I said, he helped me. He told me why, and I believe him. You know, there's, it's just an issue of finances right now. Why the Rodecaster Pro is going to be a better option, or that he actually pushed for the Duo. I said, look, if this is going to make me that much better, I know I'm going to need the additional XLR feeds for other microphones. If I bring in, like a news guy, if I bring in like a producer, whatever. And, sorry, I got to scratch my back. So I might as well just get the bigger one. It's only $150 more. So it's not like one is really pricier than the other. It's not that much more. If I can get one, I can get the other. The problem is at starting at $500 or so, I've got to put that somewhere else right now. The loan that I took is going to, start wearing down. Now that I don't even think I paid for the van yet. So I got to do that. Then there's more on the van. I'm getting it wrapped with stuff for the stations. So there's that. And now she's falling asleep on my lap. Awesome. So, yeah, I got to be smart financially. That's it. And until I got a meeting today with Thrive Marketing. I think that's today. Yeah, that's today, and it's not on here. Yeah, I can't go missing that yet. We were supposed to meet last week. He had COVID. My friend John, who I know through a networking group, we'll do a shout out to him tomorrow, probably. And I had started this past spring offering digital. Yeah, John Givens from Thrive. Yeah, it's today, 2 p.m. Yeah, I can't miss that. So he is going to help me digital advertising and station advertising and whatever else. And what's cool about that is I no longer have to do it. I'm going to have to pay them, of course. Duh. Fine with that. But it's going to be revenue. And so I don't see this pushing off of the Rodecaster. So I'm still sick too. I don't see this pushing off of the Rodecaster for too long. So thank you, Sean. In addition to telling me about the Rodecaster, he also got me set up. on voice meter and with better levels and so on. So that I think I'm tone deaf. Seriously, there's a lot that I can't hear. And one of the things when I got this mic last week, the guys on Friday said, "Oh, you sound great. Yeah, this is awesome. Yeah, blah blah blah, whatever." And then I listened to the show, and they're drowning me out something fierce. I'm like, dude, why didn't you tell me? You can barely hear me. It's my damn show. So I told Sean that, and he said, "Yep." Here we shared screens, and he looked at all my everything, and yeah, here's why you got to start here with this volume and levels and so on, then move on to this device. First we got to start with the Focusrite Scarlett, which is the audio interface that takes the XLR cable from the mics and turns it into the computer. Then, only then, can we switch to the voice meter potato, banana. I don't know, the bigger one. I don't know where they get these names. It's potato. I don't know where they get these names from, but whatever. So now, I can tell that I sound great. I know, and that's why, we're going to have to keep Dude on for, like a retainer. Because he's in radio. He's got his own show. He's got his own company where, he does consulting like this. And then there's another Thursday morning group that I'm a regular at. And I met someone there who does consulting. She is not right for me right now, and she said as much, but she hooked me up with Susan Murphy, who finally got to meet with me yesterday. She is the other toast for today. Susan is also in radio, consults in radio on how to do a show, formatting, and so on. And when I told her everything that we do, she's like, wow, 45 plus minutes of just you, huh? I'm like, okay, thanks a lot. But that's why we've got morning motivation, Pierre's pot, the different things we talk about. So it's not just me, at least in topicality. There's other things to talk about, not just the same thing for 45 minutes. So, yeah, we're moving, we're growing, and I would not have been able to do it without Uncle John, cousin Sean, and Ms. Susan, Sean Savage, and Susan Murphy. Today's Pierre's Pot toast of the morning sauce in your direction. Thank you both very much. And now, on with the show that I have not finished organizing. More indictments are coming down. I told you that too. So, congratulations if you get this right now with us. By the way, if you want to talk about any of these, give us I don't do I'm not doing the chat. I'm just not doing it. That's not fair to people who are actually listening. Twitter Spaces, when we bring Chatter on finally, we've got right now 2 terrestrial radio stations, each of which are also on the internet, 4 internet stations, and by the end of this month, as many as 4 more terrestrial stations who are again also on the internet added to the network of Mastiff Media Network, run with the big dogs. That's what we're going to be, at least here on the Nature Coast. And when I told Susan my concept for what I want to do with the news, I said, local news is not a thing anymore. And she kind of frowned. She knows. And I said, what I want to do is create this morning show for this region instead of each station having their own show with very little reach geographically. Nobody has a really big antenna here, except maybe if you're from Clear Channel or iHeart, or maybe if you have like a TV affiliate. Nobody really has a serious reach. And so that's what I want to create. But to do that, we all have to put our ego aside. That's another reason why it's no longer Jurg's Media, because it's not all about me. And why, when I do bring on my first commercial station, it will be under the stipulation that I do it from right here in the doghouse, and all the other stations that I'm paying to be on, who have helped me from the beginning, 1490 WWPR in Bradenton, and even up in Atlanta, 99.1 WDJY. They're staying. And what I said to Susan, why, as one of these smaller, let's be honest, commercial stations, would you not want to increase your reach? And she just got the biggest smile on her face and said, that's genius. Somebody checking in through DLive. I know I said I wasn't going to do this, but so Roundtable Report says you ain't wrong. Normally I'd have a cooler name, like me, than Jurg's Radio or Jurg's Media. Jurg's Radio is staying the same, by the way. But they had to monitor a mod. Why do you have a moderator if you got to babysit the moderator? That doesn't make any sense. Oh, your screen name. Your screen name sounds fine. Roundtable Report. You know, and I see what you're doing there. Round table, you know, like Knights of the Round Table. There's nobody at the head of the table. I like that. Your moderator was banning everybody. And if so, what kind of channel or room? And was it on DLive? It's where this Roundtable Report is talking to us from. And I know I said I wasn't gonna, but we're new. We got a cable to everybody. Roundtable, it says it happens like that. David Knight. Is that you? You're David Knight? Or that was the moderator that you fired? There's an oops. So I'm guessing that's the moderator that is no longer with us. So now, see, I don't know what I'm doing with Restream yet. That's how I'm going. So I'm going to the video side. Cirrus streaming is how I get to one of my terrestrial stations. And they, that mod isn't fired. Send them back to training. Cirrus is how I get to one of my terrestrial stations. It's how I was supposed to get to both of them, but the Atlanta station doesn't have an upgraded account or whatever. I'm not even sure. And so I am paying like $60 a month just for connecting to Atlanta one time a week, or excuse me, Tampa one time a week, which is changing, but still. So they offer other services, and I want to use it because I've been paying for it since like February or March. I want to be able to put commercials in with geofencing. I want to be able to do the stream through that and not have to drop $100 a month on Restream. I started with StreamYard, which is amazing. It's like Restream's not hard, but StreamYard was amazingly easy from a user experience, especially for a new guy like me. That was key. That was 2 years ago. And as I grew and started putting more destinations on it, it actually got to be too much for them. And I know that because what would happen was my video would freeze and you continue with the audio clear as day. And the issue then was I wasn't on the radio. I was doing the doggy traders, which is day trading, crypto investing, and that was very, very much video. So what would happen was, and I'm gonna talk through it for the social audio folks and the radio, but you'll see it on video. I would be talking, and the video would freeze, and I would still be moving, but the video freezes, and then all of a sudden, the video goes real fast and catches up. And I was worried that it was me. I had a Mac at the time. I wasn't streaming to anything but StreamYard. And there was nothing here that seemed to be running slowly, even though the Mac is now in my kitchen and is about ready to go to recycling. I got a computer in my kitchen living room. It's pretty cool, pretty modern. Makes me sexy. So right now we are to 12 today, different streaming locations, multiple YouTube channels, multiple Facebook pages. LinkedIn only allows you to go to one at a time, but then also D-Live, which is where I'm talking to Roundtable Report, Twitch, Twitter, Rumble. We've been having some issues with Rumble. I think it's under the same name. Well, no, actually, because like I'm on like 5 or 6 different pages for Facebook. So there's my personal profile because I got like thousands of people following me there. I mean, why would I not stream this to my profile and have that reach? But also Yerg's Radio, Up the Middle Podcast, Up the Middle Radio Show, a bunch. In the interest of time, a bunch. And then what the hell here? Yeah, Up the Middle is this show. The Yerger Group is the parent company. Let's see if I can. The Yerger Group's the parent company, doing business as Mastiff Media. I think I got another meeting today with that too. Jesus, I got this kid locally here in Tampa that's going to be doing just a brief. That's another reason why I can't get the Procaster. I got to pay $800 for this. It's a really functional new first version. He's actually throwing a lot for free. But Mastiff.media is the DBA, doing business as Yerger Group, doing business as Mastiff.media. That's where Yerg's Radio is, Rainbow Radio, up the middle of the show, everything falls under Mastiff Media. And because .media is now an extension for URLs, it made sense just to get Mastiff. So Mastiff.media is the company and the URL. So that's coming. And that's actually one of the pages, but we don't have this past June. What did I just do? This past June, Facebook, in their infinite wisdom, took away streaming to pages that had less than 100 subscribers. So go to yergs.com and no, keep it up. Keep it up. You're welcome to join us anytime. Roundtable Report says, Roger, I'll stop in a little law enforcement speak there. First, are you a first responder of any type or military? Roundtable Report says they'll stop interjecting. No, you're good. I said 20 minutes ago that I wasn't going to pay attention to text, and here I am having a 20-minute long conversation. So Susan was very impressed with what we were talking about as far as my look at you, same here. Roundtable Report worked for both state and federal governments. Yep, 21 years in the Secret Service. Proud of what I've done, but I don't miss it. Happy to be out. And that I'm not going to say everything here now until I can put it into play, but I'm essentially going to be bringing back, at least in this region, more specific local news coverage. And it might be regional at first, like the people up in Brooksville might be getting a story from that better suits the people down in Sarasota. Okay. But eventually, when each station does a break for that, for the local news, like if we do eventually cover as far south as Miami in the Keys and as far north as the Panhandle in Jacksonville and over to the Space Coast, Nature Coast to Space Coast, then we'll have somebody at least smaller regional on the boards at most of those stations. And we'll obviously figure it out, which stations they are. And during, let's see, what time is it now? It's 11:30. This is actually planning on as a morning show. 7:30 to 7:40, I take a 10-minute break. Or maybe I do news for one of those areas. They cut off my feed and they take over. And then in that case, 7:39, they start wrapping up and send it back to me. And we continue with the entire show. Other things will be beneficial, like regional traffic. I-75 goes to the entire listening area. The Turnpike goes to the entire listening area. 275 for all these interstates. And there's no reason why either we get somebody in Atlanta or we just incorporate that. We bring Atlanta news stories to our news here and wherever else. We're in London. We're not 5 days a week there, at least not live. And that's something I got to figure out. I've been 5 days a week in London and didn't know I wasn't supposed to be. So I was actually cutting into somebody else's show. Oops. Who's jam? What are we at? Coast to Coast AM with Art Bell. What city was that in? See, that's the other thing. Having been in 4 different cities over 21 years with the Secret Service, I never really got to know a local morning show, except DC. I was there 11 and a half years, and I got to know, was it Barsky? Whoever was at DC 101. Yeah, Barsky was when I was a kid in Philly. But whoever was at DC 101 probably got fired by now. But yeah, where is Coast to Coast AM Jam? What city? What market? And yeah, you don't have to give me your address. But just what market was that? So I told Susan about so worldwide. That was it an internet or syndicated or both? It was a late over the night show. Rush Limbaugh gave him a president. When I was still in the column before I brought that on the screen, I saw late and I saw Rush Limbaugh and president. I thought Roundtable Report, gave the late Rush Limbaugh a president. No, I could have been working. He says I'm probably sleeping or having fun. No, I could have been working. Secret Service protection is 24/7. And that's what I did the 11 and a half years in DC. Never did one criminal investigation in 11 and a half years. Well, actually, I didn't do, I was there 21 years, 4 months, and 2 weeks. I started in Philly, had some really cool federal investigations. My second office was San Francisco. Same there. Left there in 2007 to go to Hillary Clinton. And well, both the Clintons really, but they were geographically split because she was a senator and was primarily living in D.C. Bill was a playboy and was primarily living wherever. I was based in D.C. and was primarily with Hillary. And from that point on, I did 3 years with the Clintons, went to the Washington field office, where you're pretty much an extension of the president or vice president's detail. Did some cool protective stuff out of WFO, Washington field office, WFO. But for the 8.5 years that I was there, it was either all protection. I had a leadership role in the protection squad. Right as I left, I was the lead agent at Reagan Airport, which again, protection. I'm not doing any criminal investigations there. And then I finished in LA, where again, I was into it wasn't management, like I wasn't a boss, but it was like an operational type of management. Like I was the head agent of paper clips or whatever. I was actually the head agent of all the COVID stuff. So my boss and I tracked testing agents before they went on the road, testing agents after they got back. And Roundtable Report says, I almost fell out of my chair when I presume there should be saw Vicente Fox was the president of Mexico when I first came on. Saying ex-president. Yeah, I was on. He was one of my first protectees when he went to the UN. Go back to that one. Out of my chair when I saw Vicente Fox traveling without bodyguards. I had to take a double take. We are the only country that protects their former heads of state and heads of government. Do you know the difference? What is a head of state and what is a head of government? And Roundtable says his buddy confirmed the former president's ID. So a head of state is ceremonial and is diplomatic, meaning that they do have negotiation authority. And the example I always use, it was the Queen for my whole life until recently. Now, the King of England and the United Kingdom is the head of state for England, for the United Kingdom, Canada, Belize, Australia, New Zealand, all part of the United Kingdom. He is their head of state. The prime minister, I don't even know who that is. Anyway, there was like some Indian guy. There was some Indian guy who can't go out in England now because of these riots that are going on. But I had protected on 2 occasions Tony Blair from back in the day, Bush administration years. He is the head of government. The British Prime Minister is the head of Great Britain's, the mini kingdom of different countries, England, Wales, Scotland, part of Ireland. He's the head of government, or she. Justin Trudeau in Canada is the head of the Canadian government. I used to know the Belizean Prime Minister, Daryl something. He is the head of, and whoever the Prime Minister is now, is the head of the Belizean government. Same thing with Australia, New Zealand, other island properties, etc. The president is both. Constitutionally, legally, is both the head of state and the head of government. That's why FDR, when he met with the other leaders, Stalin, Churchill, he was the highest ranking leader at that meeting during World War II, because none of the others had both legally. Although Stalin, that's why you saw Vicente Fox alone, because we're the only country that protects our formers. Yeah, so I've seen stuff like this too. Roundtable report says, I saw Colin Powell get patted down. Yeah, and they have to. Oftentimes, even in retirement, they still have a staff. They still have somebody who's going to call ahead. They're still a VIP. Vicente Fox pissed in a lot of Cheerios. Colin Powell pissed in a lot of Cheerios. And just because Colin Powell is no longer a general, Colin Powell passed away, but because he was no longer a general, he was no longer the Secretary of State, he doesn't have protection anymore. A lot of those people do get private security, at least drivers and a small entourage for in public, and then somebody to manage alarm systems and whatever at the house. Now this one I got to address. What do we say? Sorry about that. Like I said, having been sick, the cough just comes up, and no warning, and I need to take a few seconds after because I actually lose my breath. It sucks. I saw Barbara Bush lock down a secured area from its own authorized security personnel. That was us. That was not Barbara Bush. We do that. Yeah, we piss in Cheerios, frankly. Um, but yeah, first ladies also, former first ladies also still get protection. Hillary still, she was a former first lady when I protected her. Everybody thinks I protected Hillary Clinton because she was a senator. Nothing to do with it. I would have been on her if she was nothing, just a grandmother. Right now, she's just a grandmother. I mean, she's running her foundation and obviously also supports bills, but from a legal government perspective, they're advisors at best and active participants in the Democratic Party, George W. in the Republican Party. Yeah, so here's another one. I saw a district mayor. Are you Canadian? Or excuse me, are you Mexican? Um, are you Mexican Roundtable Report? Because when you say district mayor, that sounds Mexican to me. But Roundtable Report saw a district mayor get passed through the airport and bypass security with luggage with only local law enforcement walk of in front of and behind her, but not with her. Yeah, they were with her. When we walk somebody like that, um, depending on the atmosphere, depending on the threat level, determines how close the protective agents are. Um, so if they do what's called working her loosely, it means that the threat level isn't as high. The guy bringing up the rear is still watching her right and left, and also behind him or her. The agent in front, if there's some big group of people up front, they're not going to walk right through that group. They're going to go around it, or the airport security is going to support them in the front and clear those people to a side. Whatever they got to do to safely get that person through, and politely. They don't like, especially the politicians, don't like when we tick other people off. So that's why I'm stepping up and saying that was not Barbara Bush closing down a section. That was us. I'm having a. Why don't you call 1-888-88 Yergs, 1-888-88 YERGZ. Somebody talked to him before. I don't know in the conversation where we're at. Uh, was that your federal thing? You were with TSA? Yeah, no. I mean, all my listeners are important. Don't think that. Roundtable Report says it's not important. I'm like, yes, it is. Donald Trump will still be indicted tomorrow. Boom. Yeah, gotcha. Worked for TSA. Very cool. Now, what did you do? You said you also did state. Yeah, you said that earlier. Also worked for state government. You know, again, if you don't want to say which state or wherever or where you worked with TSA, I totally get it. But add whatever you feel comfortable. That's what I always say when I have a Secret Service conversation with somebody. I always tell them, ask whatever you want. You know, let me do the censorship where necessary. But don't be offended if I got to say that I can't answer that. That's all. It's not that I don't want to tell you. You know, I loved what I did for whatever number of years, proud of what I did, but I'm still doing it, sort of. And that there's still secrets I've got that I can't share. All right, I got to take a break. When we come back, we're going to do the morning motivation. And wow, look at that. It's already past quarter of. Worked for a vocational system. Okay. All right, 99.1 WDJY 1490 WWPR, Yerg's Radio, and the rest of the Mastiff Media Network. We'll be back after this. Smell nasty. Do you want to freshen it up a little bit? Go to aromabypeter.com. Check out all of Peter's candles. It's what we burn here in Studio Yerg's. I'm burning right now leather scented candle. That's right, leather scented. So go to aromabypeter.com/Yerg's and check out his candles today.
I'm Jane Stahl, retired English teacher, and with my BFF, Susan Bebeck, we manage Studio B Fine Art Gallery in Boyertown, Pennsylvania. We showcase the art of hundreds of local artists, publish books of the poetry, prose, and art of local writers, offer classes, art parties, workshops, discussion groups, cater dinners. We've even hosted a wedding. And we're here to be the go-to place for friendship, learning, and fun in our community. Virtual tours of our exhibits are available right here on Yerg's Radio. Let us introduce you to some amazing art and artists.
Check out Jane Stahl and everyone at Studio B in Boyertown, Pennsylvania. Please visit our YouTube channel, Talk TV 24. How's your website doing? I'll tell you how mine's doing. It's awesome. Yergs.com is gotta be the best website for anybody in podcasting or any sort of broadcast solo journalist like me. How did I get that? Limit Break Digital. Limit Break Digital did my website with Yergs.com. They did YergerGroup.com. They take care of my marketing, my branding, and help me get the message out to you. Go to limitbreakdigital.com/Yergs for 10% off your next project. That's a $3,000 site, Yergs.com. And you can get 10% off that by just going to limitbreakdigital.com/Yergs today. Talk to Jay. That's my guy. We all got a guy, and Jay's mine. limitbreakdigital.com. Hey gang, it's Yergs. Right now, our country is about to embark on yet another controversial presidential election. I have an actual question, legitimate question, as a political scientist and historian by education. If you are a Trump supporter, I want to hear from you. I want to know what your appeal to Donald Trump is at this time. Please email me news, N-E-W-Z, at yergs.com. News, N-E-W-Z, at YERGZ.com. Thanks. Participants must be willing to provide their contact information, answer a series of questions, and then have their first name broadcast over the radio and social media relevant to Up the Middle. There we go. I'm just going through emails here, and there's just so much. Oh, I get so much crap. But I just can't go delete because there's stuff that I get that's pretty serious that I need. That's. Oh, his ebook is out. I had a guest earlier this year. Oh. I think I got to be honest, I think I'm going to cut back on the number of people that I have as guests who wrote a book. Everybody's writing a book. Everybody's doing a podcast. Not everybody's doing a radio show. Not everybody combines it with video. But, just because you wrote a book doesn't make you an actual expert. And that's what I learned with some previous guests. They're just putting out an opinion. And maybe it's okay. Maybe I agree with it. Maybe I don't. But just because you put out an opinion in the form of a book, that doesn't make it factual. And I think a lot of people put out their opinion because it's their opinion. It's theirs. You think, well, it's my opinion. It must be great. Everybody's going to love this. So, what are we up to? Morning motivation. Let's see if roundtable discussion guy or gal, I don't even know. Um, yeah, let's see. I saw Supreme Court justices pass by signing their names in a book. I got to think of how I did that. Oh, here's a favorite. Oh, I love you, roundtable. Yeah, there we go. I don't like Dan Bongino because he is so angry. Yeah, that's one reason why I don't like Dan Bongino. For those of you who don't know, Dan Bongino is a former Secret Service agent. I am a retired Secret Service agent, which means I finished my career. I did all of it before jumping ship. Danny Boy couldn't last that long. And God love him. He's making great money. He's a liar. And yeah, he got his hate on all the time. Oh, yeah. He used to, I don't know if he still does it, but he used to tweet. And I don't say X, by the way, it's Twitter. He used to tweet. Today is today is August 28th, and Joe Biden is still the worst president in history. Well, let's talk about people who just write a book and think they're an expert. Dan, Danny Boy is clearly right wing, to say the least. I mean, he's so far up Trump's ass. Trump looks like a cockroach with an extra set of legs. But Danny Boy fancies himself a conservative. Conservatism is, by definition, a very Christian thought process that, how should I say, it's very welcoming. It is actually very inclusive because of the actual Christianity that it represents, which is why these evangelicals flocked to Trump, someone who, by the way, is not religious at all. At all. He walked through a church, or I forget exactly what the atmosphere, but they were in the process of taking an offering. For those of you who don't know, that's when a plate is passed down each pew, down the rows of seating. And the parishioners, the people in the church, donate money, cash, checks, whatever, to the church. And those are called coffers. And that is a fund that is used by the church to help the needy. He saw this happening, Trump did, and said, what a sham that is. Like, people think that's really going to needy people. Right down the street from where I live here in the Tampa area was a church that gave out day-old bread to people who needed it. And that grew to vegetables and so many other things. But I got to tie this into today's morning motivation before we're no longer in the morning in 3 minutes. We're growing here at Up to Middle. Like I said yesterday, we're about to add 4 more terrestrial stations. And as a result, once you get those first couple of stations added, the others get easier because you already got these other stations. And now I'm talking to one person who owns 4 stations. And Susan said yesterday, that's the next step is syndication. And that's what we're working on. But our Biden lover roundtable loves Joe Biden. Yeah, Joe Biden's a good man. Joe Biden is without question a good man. We got 2 minutes left, so I got to talk about success. Sometimes I think Trump and the like are just present to make others witness what they shouldn't follow. Yeah, I don't think I said this before, and we'll actually be talking about this again coming up in the future. I don't think Donald Trump ever wanted to be president. In fact, I know he didn't. Trumpers don't believe that, but that's why they're still following him. The best revenge is massive success. We're about to double in well, not quite double, but we're going to triple the number of terrestrial stations we're in. And I know that still isn't catching up to Danny Boy. I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about the guy in that camera right there. And what we're doing and what we're presenting to our audience. Engaging roundtable the way we did today. And everybody, you listening right now, watching, whichever. 99.1 WDJY, Atlanta. We're about to lose them and everybody else that's on the automated systems. We'll see you again tomorrow for Thursday. We got about 40 seconds, but everybody who said I couldn't do it, everybody said I couldn't make hockey, baseball as a referee and an umpire, and said I wouldn't really do anything with anything else. 21 years later, I'm retiring from the Secret Service. I own a piece of property in Belize. Now I'm on the radio. Don't tell me what I can't do, because I'll do it. Thanks for joining us, everybody. You've been up the middle. We'll see you tomorrow. Turn the volume back up. See you tomorrow.